Hi guys, I'm super excited to talk to you today. As Luke said, my name's Krystine Hill. So let's start off with a question. How many of you were ever told that you couldn't do something? Yeah, whether it be you physically couldn't do something or you weren't allowed to do something, and it sucks, right? So when I was growing up, my mom and my dad always raised me with the mentality that obstacles were not really a problem. An obstacle only meant that you had to work harder to accomplish whatever you were trying to accomplish. And if you wanted a spot at the top, you had to work your butt off to get to the top. And I didn't realize until I came to college that that was going to mean something different to me as a woman, but also as a woman in the science field. So my purpose here today is to encourage you women to recognize the blockades that are established to limit you, whether it be socially, emotionally, or mentally, and thus overcome them by recognizing them, but also to encourage the men in the room to realize and recognize their women peers and to encourage them as leaders. So I wasn't always crazy, and I didn't always want to be a chemistry major. But when I was growing up, through elementary school and middle school and high school, I was always really into the arts. So I spent 15 years of my life dancing. If anyone were to ask me what I wanted to be, I was always an artist or a teacher. And at the end of my high school career, I wanted to be a doctor or a medical examiner. And I had the opportunity to shadow a crime scene investigator in Baltimore, and I fell in love with forensic science. And the woman that I was shadowing instructed me to major in chemistry and not forensic science, because if I were to change my mind later on, forensic science would really limit where I could go as an alternative career option. So I went home to my mom and I was like, Mom, I don't even like chemistry. I don't like science. I don't know what to do. But I was very indecisive, and I still am, so I was happy to accept the decision that someone else made. So I said, sure, I'll go to college and I'll major in chemistry. And when people, I would tell people, they would look at me like I was nuts, like people still do, and they would tell me, oh my gosh, that's gonna be super hard. But as a very type A personality, school sort of came easy to me, and I never really struggled with it, so I said, this will be fine, it'll be whatever. So it wasn't until I was 1 to 2 years into the major that I realized, oh my gosh, this is actually going to be hard. Yes, Orgo, halfway through PChem, it sucks. But it became a very proud moment for me, because still when I bring it up that I am a chemistry major, people look at me like I'm crazy. But now that it's presented as a challenge to me, I have to conquer it and I have to accomplish my goals. So being a chemistry major is not only challenging to me intellectually, but also socially, because a career in the STEM field, so science, technology, engineering, or math, is the complete opposite of what a woman is supposed to go into as a career. So when women were starting to be allowed to have jobs in the 18th and 19th century, the careers that they had were often just extensions of their duties in the home. So they were very nurturing jobs. They were nurses, they were teachers. They were not working in a lab by themselves all day doing experiments, or on the side of a road at a crime scene with police officers analyzing blood spatter with a dead body in front of them. That's not at all what women were expected to do. So as a woman in science, I need to recognize the prejudices that will be against me and adjust my work ethic accordingly. And I never really noticed the prejudices against women until I came to college. And I realize now, 3 years in, that I was very, very naive coming into college as a freshman, but really that's what college is about. It's about keeping an open mind and realizing the capacity for improvement in the world around you. One of the things that I watched that really sparked, the feminist fire in my heart was a TED Talk by Sheryl Sandberg. And she's the Chief Operating Officer of Facebook and the founder of a website called leanin.org. And when I watched this TED Talk, it made me realize how subtle but present the inferiorities are for women in success in general. So one thing that she says in her talk is that women systematically underestimate their own abilities. Think about that. So when a woman accomplishes something, she doesn't wave it around, she doesn't brag about it, and that's seen as modest, and women are applauded for being modest. But I think that women should be more vocal about what they accomplish, because they worked hard to accomplish that. Another thing that Sheryl Sandberg says in her TED Talk is that men will attribute their success to themselves, while women will attribute their success to external factors. No offense, guys, I think you're great too. But if you ask a man why they accomplished what they accomplished, they'll say, well, because I'm awesome. But if you ask a woman why she accomplished what she accomplished, she'll say, well, I worked really hard, I had a lot of other help. So once I watched this, I began to pick up on those subtle inferiorities in my everyday life. So one aspect that I really noticed this in was in pop culture. So I watch Netflix, it's my #1 procrastination tool. And one of the shows I watch is Sons of Anarchy. Any son? Okay, that's cool. Yeah. And in the show, one of the more prominent female characters is not received well by my peer group and even individuals in the age group higher than me. So she's seen as manipulative, controlling, and the people that I talk to, who happen to be men, but whatever, are saying, oh my gosh, I would not want her in my life at all. Another strong female character in one of the shows that I watch is Jesse from New Girl. I'm obsessed with that show. And she's often seen as obnoxious or annoying and unrealistic. So in real life, I also notice this, I get out more than just watching TV. But a supervisor I had the pleasure of working under, she is the head of her department, she has a doctorate, she's confident, goal accomplishing, she's nice, and she dresses really well, and whenever I'm around her, I just feel encouraged. And I say to people, oh my gosh, she is so awesome, I want to be like her. And often the men that I'm around, again, no offense, will say, oh no, you don't want to be like her. She's in, insert expletive here. Or, wow, she really stepped on people's toes to get where she is. And I think to myself, did she actually do something that offended you? Or are you intimidated by her because she's successful and in a position of power that's higher than you? So basically what this comes down to is that success is not going to get you popularity, and you're not going to be well liked. But if you are accomplishing your goals and you are happy with your accomplishments and you have a group of people around you that are supporting you and helping you grow, you don't need to worry about the people that are going to say negative things about you. So I'm fortunate enough to have a solid group of supporters that can remind me of my goals and of my strong morals when I seem to forget them. One of the strong women in my life is, of course, my mom. You can't do a talk without shouting out your mom. She's always raised me to not rely on anyone else. That I don't need to tie myself to a man. I don't need anyone to get to where I want to go. I can achieve that by myself. Also, in my friend group, we have these little mannerisms that will encourage each other and really highlight the positives of each day. So it can be when we're together or when we're by ourselves, but maybe one day we're catching up over dinner and one of my BizCom friends will say, oh, I had a presentation today, So we'll say, yes, presentation, awesome. Or maybe you're wearing a fun new outfit and you post it on Snapchat like I did this morning, and we'll comment on each other's posts and be like, yes, shoes, or yes, hair. And these kinds of things just encourage each other. And it reminds us that you're doing great at where you are, and you need to let everyone know how great you're actually doing. Another strong female role model I had in my life, I met my freshman year of college, and she was an upperclassman chemistry major, and she sort of took me under her wing, and I talk about her all the time because she's amazing. And she's recently graduated, and she's on her way to acquiring a doctorate degree, being a medical examiner, or even a trauma surgeon. And I just feel so blessed to be able to be a part of her life and watch her work through this as a woman trying to accomplish her goals in the science field. I think it's so amazing. Another thing that Sheryl Sandberg says is that being confident and believing in your own self-worth is necessary to achieving your full potential. And sometimes you'll forget about your full potential and your self-worth, but it's important to have those people in your life that will support you and remind you of that. So the point of all this is not to bash men, because guys are great, but to really change your approach to how you see your own challenges in your life, but also how you perceive other women leaders. So when a challenge arises, is your first thought, oh, this is going to be so hard, I can't do it? Or is your first thought going to be, oh my gosh, this is so hard, this is going to suck because I'm going to have to do so much work to accomplish it? I hope it's the second. Also, personally, I'm very prideful, so if I want to do something and someone comes up to me and says, you're not going to be able to do it, I immediately say, actually I can, and I'm going to do it, and you can watch me do it without anyone's help. And finally, don't tolerate being ignored. So my friends make fun of me all the time because if I am talking and they are not looking at me, I will stop and I will wait until they are making eye contact with me so I can finish telling my story. And most of the time I'm saying something important, but other times I'm not, but it's fine. But in conclusion, yes, it's better now for women than it's ever been in the United States before, but that doesn't mean that we should remain complacent and not push to further, push for more progress. And this includes supporting our women leaders, so women executives and CEOs and women scientists. So to sort of close on this note, I want for everyone in this room and for myself to shoot for the moon and not settle for the stars. Thank you.